All right. Hey, good morning, Swati. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing great. So, do you want to give a little bit of context of why we are here, what we talked about yesterday, and where we came up with the spark of doing this particular segment?
Yes, let's do that. I'm really excited to be recording this session actually. I reached out to you earlier this week. My own journey has been exploring a lot of different AI tools, vibe coding tools that are more low code and no code. And I know in the work that you are doing, you're experimenting with a little bit more open source and developer oriented tools. So I reached out to you earlier this week to really understand what's the tech stack you're using and what's your rationale behind that, right? So that in each of our work, of course, part of it is sharing what each of us are doing, but then part of it is also to continue to share, learn from each other so we can enhance how we approach and most importantly, bring the right tools for the right problem. So I think what would be a good topic to start with is maybe if you can give an introduction about what's your tech stack today when you're consulting and building agents, doing the whole agentic solutions for your clients. And I'm happy to talk about mine as well.
So, let me pull up a screen just to give some context, right? When we talk about agentic tools, there is a few different ways to think about, and this is my way of thinking through, and I'm sure you have your own take. I look at tools to see how can they help automate certain workflows, how can they help orchestrate certain things. A lot of times there are a lot of tools and you really have to be cognizant of what is that you're looking to solve and how a particular tool may be helpful. This is a set of tools that I have evaluated, some of them a little bit more deeply, some of them lightly. They fall under four buckets in general for me. It could be something like Lindy.ai, where it is quick enough to get some automation done. And then where you have a little bit more orchestration, Zapier or Gum Loop. And then you have things on the far end with LangGraph, LangChain, which are more programmer friendly. The way that I look at between our skill set is you come left to right and I approach problems right to left and we will converge. If you want to talk a couple of minutes about how you're evaluating.
Yeah, happy to. Where I've arrived with my exploration so far is that there are really four components. One is you need a tool that allows you to automate or basically build your workflow. These are more of the agent studios, and these tools usually come equipped with the capability to put your system instructions and then also break down the steps for your agent so you can really be very prescriptive about what happens at each step. These tools also allow you to build your knowledge base, and it comes in with RAG, basically the chunking and embeddings on your knowledge on your own content. Plus, these studios give you the capability to debug and also do evaluation. So you pretty much have a self-contained tool that allows you to build your agent workflow. Those are your agent studios. And I've tried a few, but I continue to come back to Mind Studio. The other one I would categorize, like you have here as well, is in the automation, orchestration, basically integrations category. This could be as simple as summarized an article, send me an email, or it could be more advanced as far as using a webhook, pulling information from somewhere and then pushing, processing and pushing somewhere. I'm playing with Make and Zapier. Then the third one is what I'm using for more of the UI interface. This is where I've started to play around with Lovable, Replit. These are the tools that the users can interact with, not the tools necessarily, but the user interface. And then finally, right now I'm not doing anything specific from an hosting standpoint, but based on everything I've learned from you, there are certain tools that are better equipped if you want more control on where and how to host. So that's where I've arrived with my tech stack so far.
Got it. Now, I think your point about Lovable, Bolt, Replit, I think we should do a segment around it because I typically just go to Cursor and start coding. I find it a lot more efficient, but probably because I come from a software engineering background.
That makes sense. One more thing, Sree, to add here would be speed. To your point, MVP, right? If you are trying to conceptualize something just for a quick prototype, for alignment, things like that, your curve to how quickly you can get to that point increases as you go right on this, right? So maybe if you're in the phase where you're prototyping, let's say if you're in a proposal state with a prospect, right? Or if you are even within an organization, you have an idea and you're looking for alignment. This is where starting with some of the tools on the left side makes most sense. Literally, in my experience, and granted, I've been playing with these tools a lot more, it literally shrinks time from spending hours and weeks to have those alignment meetings to just a few hours in a day to quickly prototype something, put it in front of people, get some alignment. It moves the conversation from talking to showing. That's the real power there too.
Yeah.
But to your point, if you are building production grade solution, and this is where at a point when you're ready, you have alignment, it's worth investing the time to build something that's more robust.
Completely agree. The other inflection point I had, Swati, if you're a business analyst or a product manager, you probably gravitate to the left because you talk to stakeholders, you're thinking about the problem at hand. And then on the far right, if you are a software engineer by background and you are a data scientist or a AI ML engineer, you probably look at these tools to say, well, this is really not for me. I can do these things much more efficiently with my existing tech stack. So there may be a little bit of bias coming from a software engineering background. But
Yeah.
I think the right middle point is if you were a solution architect, a technical analyst, you're probably going to gravitate to tools such as Mind Studio N8N. They are visual builders, but at the same time, they pack a lot of power and you can get a lot of things done without having to code.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point because based on your role and also what side of the house, not only do you have a comfort level and bias, right, coming from, but also who are you interacting with, right? Who are you working with to gain the alignment is going to influence some of those choices. I want to come back to something you just said, right? It's that middle ground. I think this is where we've talked about going from left to right is an approach, and right is far more custom, more time intensive. It's more production grade, right? Especially for proprietary solutions. Whereas far left is more, to me, it's more prototyping or simple agents, right? Simple automation. You're not looking to do anything at scale. Right? What, in your opinion, is a good middle ground for a company that is looking to balance speed, cost, and yet bring something to market that's high value?
You mean in terms of tech stack?
In terms of tech stack, what's a good approach to start with? Think of early stage startups that are not funded and they're looking to basically conceptualize an idea. And they need something that's production grade, but of course, they're also in the experimentation and that product market fit phase. What do you think is a good middle ground for them?
Yeah, with respect to AI agentic tools itself, I would say something like N8N. It is robust for you to go live and you can literally watch it go through workflows, you can debug it. On the UI side, maybe what I would suggest is to start with something like Lovable or Replit, get the buy-in. But once you have to actually start coding, I would convert that to a React-based front end with Node.js or Python in the back end for you to go production grade.
Got it. That makes sense.
So we could probably do a follow-on segment where we could take a business problem and say, how would we approach it, or how would you have approached it in the non-AI era? And then how would you approach it in the AI era?
That's true. I agree. And I think one of the biggest struggle is this ecosystem is exploding so fast. It's really hard to keep up and try to experiment with everything that's out there. By showcasing at least some of the tools that you and I have experimented with, which covers a pretty wide range of products, we also start to build a think tank of what is the right tool for what kind of problem. So I think that would be a very useful next conversation.
Let's do it. Let's level on something and then take a problem and try to solve it. And my experience is you end up learning more as you try to teach. And what better way to do it in public?
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for your call yesterday, which prompted all of this. And let's do some more of these sessions.
Yes, and thank you for your input. It really helped crystallize some of the different approaches depending on where you're at in your journey. So thank you for your insights.
All right, sounds good.